Hello and welcome to another lesson on the YouTube channel made especially for hospital school students, happy little students, uh, featuring me, Ollie. Um, First of all, I want to say I hope you're all well and keeping safe and that your families are all well as well. Um, Today, as you can see, we're going to be looking at drawing some anime. This is just a couple of drawings that I did just to get in the get warmed up, ready for the video. Just have a few little sketches and a play around. Anime isn't something that I've spent a lot of time drawing. It's not my go-to genre of artwork. So for those of you that don't know, and I'm sure most of you do know, but anime and manga, they're a popular Japanese form of animation and comics, and they have a very distinct art style. Now, if you want to draw your favorite character or design a character of your own, you start by a good idea is to start by designing their head and face so that you can sketch and get an idea what this character is going to look like. So the when we do this lesson, we're going to explore different ways of putting together a anime face. We're going to start off by drawing the basic head shapes and outlining the basic shapes around the head and the structure of how we want the face to be put together. And then we're going to start adding some features into the face. And that will be the nose and the eyes and the mouth and things. Then we're going to clean up and finish the drawing at the end. Now, as I go through, what I will mention is with anime, there's very distinct sort of changes in how a face looks. So you get sort of masculine and feminine sort of finishes. So, for example, this here is a girl, and so on here you're going to get a lot more sort of thinner lines and pointier chins, narrower necks, as opposed to if I was drawing a male character, the neck might be a little bit wider to show a bit more of a muscular a muscular shape. But again, as you develop your character and draw your character of how you want your character to be and how you want them to look, you can add all those details in. What I'm going to do is show you the basics of how you can put a face together, and then you're going to take the idea is you take this away and then start to do some little anime drawings of your own. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to get started uh, with so we're going to start by drawing the basic head shape. So to draw the basic head shape, we're going to draw a circle on the page with a vertical line running through the middle. We're going to use a pencil. Even if you're going to go over this and draw this in ink first, at the end, I recommend that you start the drawing using a pencil, and this is just so you can rub out any mistakes. And we can lightly draw the circle in the center of your lightly draw the circle in the center of your paper, so that you have enough room to expand on things like hair and other features around. So I'm going to first of all I'm going to use a different pencil. I'm going to lightly draw my my circle in the middle. I'm using a HB pencil for this. You can use darker pencils as you start to trace in your circles. Okay, so I'm going to lightly draw my circle in. This is probably a little darker than what I would normally go with, but it's just so that the camera can pick up what I'm doing, so you can see it better. Um, and if you have trouble drawing a circle without help, either use a compass or trace around something that's circular. I don't know. You could trace around a, a hair gel tin or something like that, something that's circular. Okay. Now I'm going to put my vertical line in here. This is going to come straight down the middle. Now, I want to make this as central as possible, but without getting into the technicalities of using rulers and getting it perfect, it just has to be a guesstimate. It doesn't have to be really precise, especially not at this stage in the drawing. Okay, so we now need to make a guideline for the eyes, and we're going to make this a third of the way up from the bottom of the circle. So we're going to measure about a third of the way up from the bottom of the circle, and we're going to use a pencil to make a mark. So I'm just going to go. So if I was to break this down into three sections, let's say probably about here and here, and then we're gonna, so a third of the way up, I'm gonna put this next line in. This is the eye line. These construction lines that we're putting in now, they can change. You can change them as you go through your drawing, and depending on how your drawing maps out, I mean, this one might change as well, as depending on how the drawing maps out. I think it's always important when you're doing it, when you're making a drawing like this, is to have an idea of what you want to draw in your head. So to really think through what it is you want your character to look like and the characteristics. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go through the video. So as I say, your measurements don't need to be precise. You don't have to use a ruler. You can estimate the distances with the end of your pencil instead as well. So use your pencil as a gauge to make sure that you're getting it nice and even all the way around. So as I did in the Aladdin video, I am sort of slowing things up and taking my time, just to make sure everybody can keep up with the video and draw along with me if they can. So the next section for this is we're going to put a horizontal line across the bottom of the circle for the nose line. So what we're going to do, we're going to find the lowest point of the circle, and then we're going to draw a straight line horizontally across it. And we're going to keep these lines nice and light. So we're going to find the bottom of the circle here. So we're just going to go just up from the bottom of the circle, and then very lightly I'm going to put in a line and then across there, a horizontal line. There we go. So I'm going to emphasize that these lines really do need to be light, because we are going to rub a lot of these lines out when we come to the end step. Um, when we come to the end step, so to make that stage a little bit easier, it is really important that you do keep these lines light. There's going to be lots of opportunity to go back and trace these lines back in later on in the drawing. Okay. We're now going to place a horizontal mark for the chin underneath the circle. So to do this, we're going to find the distance between. So we're going to look for the distance from the center of the circle to the line that we drew for the nose. So if you remember, when we go back to a few steps, we did this this line here a third of the way up. So it's not quite the center. So the center's more about here. Okay. So we're looking for the distance between the center of our nose line to the center of the circle. Okay. That's the distance we're looking for. And we can gauge that on our pencil as well. So as I said, we don't need to use a ruler, use our pencil. We can roughly gauge it and still get quite a precise finish. And this is where the bottom of our chin line is going to be. Okay, so this is where the bottom of our chin line is going to be. So we're going to have some, so our big eyes are going to be sort of here. Our chin's going to come down here. Our mouth will be somewhere around here, and we're going to have a nose here. But again, this you can change this accordingly, because not everyone's face is always the same. This is just a very generic way of drawing a manga picture. In fact, I might just lift that up slightly. I think I've done that slightly a bit. Yeah, I'm going to lift that up slightly. Okay. So now it's time to outline the jaw for our character. So you can start on either the left or the right side of the circle at its widest point. And then we're going to draw a line from the side of the circle that's slightly angled towards the vertical center line. Okay, and we're going to continue drawing the line until we reach the mark that we've just made from the nose line there. Okay, so let me just show you how I like to do this when I'm adding the jaw lines in. I'm going to start here. So you could draw a continuous curve, okay, but to get that sort of characteristic manga chin, that can be quite difficult to get that even on both sides. So what I'm going to suggest you do is we're going to just very lightly, I'm going to put in some lines, okay, and I'm doing this in lines, so it's just straight lines, but just short straight lines, not too short, obviously, but just short straight lines. I think you should be able to see what I'm doing here. Okay, and what this does, it allows me just to get both sides nice and even and get the curve nice and so it continues, so it's a nice continuous curve, and then I can go in with a curved line. Okay, now you'll see that as I've put in this this chin, okay, female anime and manga characters tend to have rounder faces and pointier chins than male characters. So use curved lines rather than angled ones if you're planning on drawing a female character. Characters that are older usually have taller, narrower faces than younger characters. If you're drawing a manga picture of a child, their faces tend to be a lot smaller. So again, this is what I was saying about this line here. You can move this up and down depending on the character that you're drawing. Okay. And then we're going to sketch in the neck coming down from the head. The width of the neck depends on if you're drawing a male or a female character. If you're drawing a male character, as I said earlier on in the video, the position of the sides of the neck, um, the position of the sides of the neck are closer to the sides of the jawline to show a muscular build. For female characters, just place the lines of the neck closer to the chin so that it's narrower to make straight vertical lines extending from the jaw on each side of the face to make a neck. So this is a female character, so I'm going to make mine a little bit narrower here. So if this, as I was saying before, if I wanted this, if it was a male character, or I wanted it to look a little bit more masculine or a bit more muscular, I would probably draw my neck coming from the edges of the jawline. But I don't want that to happen at the minute. Okay. Younger manga and or anime characters will have narrower necks since they're not used to they're not as muscular or as defined as adult manga characters. So if you're drawing a young boy or a girl character, make the necklines closer to the chin so that it's closer to the chin and the size of the jaw. So a good thing to do is just to hold your drawing out in front of you. If you sort of struggling to get the proportions right or the narrowness of the neck, and just take a look at it to see if the neck is either too long or too short while you're drawing it, and then you can rub out and extend any lines depending on how best the look suits the character that you're drawing. So we come on to the second part of this mini manga tutorial, and we're going to start adding some features. At the minute, we've got this sort of alien-looking dude sat on the page here, but we're going to start adding some features. So we're going to place the ears and the nose and the head on here. So first of all, what I'm going to do, I'm going to sketch in how I want the head to look. Okay, so I'm just gonna use the circle. So I'm almost carving this away from the circle. and I'm just going to go slightly above this line here. And those of you that have been in my lesson when I've done lessons on drawing portraits and the proportions of a face for a portrait. Um, Manga kind of throws that out of the window a little bit because a lot of things in manga are really exaggerated. So sort of head shapes and the tops of head sizes, eyes and noses can be quite small, mouths can be quite small. So there's a lot of exaggeration in manga drawing. So same with the necks here as well. Though. They can be um, sort of more narrow than perhaps what you'd draw a normal if you was drawing an actual portrait, more narrow. But I might do a video on drawing portraits and the proportions, just to sort of so you can have a bit of a gauge as to see what I mean for those that haven't been in my lessons. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark on here between the eye line and the nose line. I'm just going to mark in some ears. Now, my manga character, I think at the moment is going to have some long hair, but I just want to put the ears on there just in case I change my mind. I want to put some ears on there. Okay. So we've done that, and we're now going to add in the nose. We're going to add the tip of the nose where the horizontal and the vertical line. So the horizontal and the vertical lines intersect. So in some anime or manga, the nose isn't as visible from the front as it would be perhaps from a side view. So if you want to make a simple nose, all you've got to do is literally just draw a dot on the side here, and that can be your nose. You could do that on both sides to make so you can see the two nostrils, or you can just do it on the one side. For this, I'm just going to do it on the one side. You can also draw a long, straight or curved line extending up towards the eye line if you want to make your character's nose more defined. So you could, if you wanted to bring it a bit more sort of up like this, if you wanted to make it more defined. But I don't. I'm happy with where that nose is going to be. I don't want to overcomplicate my drawing because manga drawings are quite simple. Um, they're not overcomplicated drawings. Now comes a slightly trickier part. We're going to draw the eyes. We're going to draw the eyes so that they're below the guideline that we drew earlier. Okay. If you're drawing a male character, draw a horizontal line under the guideline you made that stops near the side of the head. For female characters, draw an arched line underneath the guide so that it goes towards the side of your character's head. Okay, so I'll just talk you through a little bit what I mean by that. In manga, there are so many different eyes that you can do in your drawings, and I recommend just having a play around and just spending time drawing individual features. One thing that is quite good to do if you're creating your own character is once you've got to this stage is to get some tracing paper. I don't actually have any tracing paper at my house, so I can't demonstrate this. I suppose you could use some baking parchment. Um, and draw the eyes. So put the tracing paper over the top of your picture and draw the eyes onto the tracing paper, and then you can sort of match what eyes you think are going to look best for your character. Okay, and that's quite a nice way to be, so you don't have to rub out the whole thing if you don't like the eyes. But I'm going to go straight in onto my page, and well, I don't have any tracing paper, so I don't. That option isn't open to me. And to do my eyes, I'm going to now, normally, if we were drawing a portrait, your eyes, you would be able to fit 5 of your eyes across the page with equal gaps. So if this was if this was your face, and you had your line here, you'd be able to mark on five eye shapes all the way around. But with manga, because the eyes are slightly more exaggerated, um, the eyes can be slightly closer together or further apart and closer to the sides. that kind of rule isn't necessarily as important in manga drawing. And then so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off. So I'm going to take this line here. I'm going to draw a curved line underneath the line that I've done for the eye line, and I'm going to do the same here. So I've almost got like a rugby ball shape in the middle. This, what I'm doing now, you can play around with this as much as possible. If you're drawing, if you want your manga character to look a little bit surprised, you might draw bigger eyes that are wide open, because they have such a variety of shapes. If you want your manga character to look angry, then the character might have narrower eyes. So it depends a lot on what particular expression you want your character to have. But have a play around and work out what some of your favorite ideas are for eyes, and then you can just have a mess around with your characters and develop a character that way. So I'm just going to put my eyes in here. And so just what I've done here is I've done two of the eyelash bits at the top of your eye, and then I'm going to do the bottoms here just underneath, which is slightly shorter. And I've done them actually level with where the nose is. And then I'm going to add in the side of the eyes, leaving some of these bits just sticking out. So these eyes are actually massive. They are the ones that I'm doing here. Okay. And then, so I've got this far. Quite often when you see manga drawings, that all the lines don't always meet up together. So you get, I've done this so that my lines all meet up together, but that's not always the case. Sometimes it's the case is if you're drawing an eye, you might have your eye that comes like this, and then it sort of, as it comes down and comes under, you get like gaps in your eyes like this, and then you have this the iris in the middle with the pupil. So sometimes when you're doing eyes, it doesn't always all the lines don't always match up and meet. This is what I mean when I say you can go back and have a play around with the eyes and different eyes that you want to do. I might change these around, but I'm going to see how they come out first. So I'm going to shade in some pupils. Now if you can see it, hopefully you can. You can see I've left little white gaps there, okay, for my pupils. So where the lights, it gives the illusion of where the light's hitting them. And then I'm going to add a little bit of shade in here as well, because we're adding in the final details. Add a bit of shade in there, like that. Okay. I'm not going to go too much to town on these because I might need to rub some of these eyes out when we come to put the hair in. And then we need to give the character some eyebrows above the eyes. So again, with eyebrows, these will change a lot varying on your character. So anime and manga eyebrows can be, there can be lots of different shapes. They can be triangles or even circles sometimes. So angle the eyebrows more if you want to make the character more expressive. For example, if the eyebrows are angled down towards the nose, your character might look a little bit more angry. And if you angle them more out towards the ears, they might look a little bit more sad or a little bit more scared. I'm going to put mine sort of more out towards the ears. I don't want him to look sad. I don't want him to look sad. I don't want him to look scared. Just a little bit nervous that I'm about to draw her hair on. And she's thinking, what hairstyle is he going to give me? There we go. So, but again, use your tracing paper. If you're creating a character, use your tracing paper and and play around with the different eyebrows, and so you can have a sort of look what you think looks best to suit your character. Okay. Now we're going to add in the mouth. Okay. Now your mouth line, you can adjust the mouth line however you want it or where you want it. Sometimes you'll see mouth lines where they'll follow the circle. The original circle might be your mouth line, but I think that's a bit too close up for these guys. So I am going to just bring that circle down here. I want her to be smiling. Um, I do. So mouths. Um, Mouths are quite, again, same as any other characters. They look different, and you get different expressions in anime characters. And so, just maybe have a look online and see how to make different expressions. If you want to draw your character smiling with an open mouth, um, you don't need to draw every individual tooth in there either. Only draw the line between the top and the bottom of the teeth just to separate them. A little bit like we did with the picture of the genie from Aladdin. So I'm just going to put my mouth in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a couple of lines here, and I'm going to put a little line underneath for the bottom lip. And again, there's lots of different ways that we can draw a mouse. So, as I said, the size of your mouth depends on the expression you want them to have. If you want your character to look a little goofier, then make the mouth really wide. If you want them to have a more serious or quiet character, then make the mouth quite small. Okay. So before we go, we're almost there. So before we go in and add anything else to this picture, what I want you to do is to take your rubber and then just go around and rub out any any of the lines. So we're just going to clean up the picture. All our guidelines and construction lines that we put in, we're just going to clean all these up. Okay. Now you may take out some of the features that you've put in, but that's okay. Don't worry too much because you can just go back in and redraw those features. Just don't rub them out too much so that you have no picture left. There we go. So this is what we should be left with, and I'm just going to go back in here, trace over a couple of these lines. There we go. Trace over a couple of these lines, add in the eye, like so. Okay, so now we are going to add in the hair. Okay, so we need to give our character a really fun hairstyle. Anime and manga characters can have so many different hairstyles. Then you can choose what you think looks best by using the tracing paper again, and then trying out different hairstyles on your character. Avoid drawing every single strand of hair, and instead I want you to sketch out the basic shape of the style onto your character and work lightly in pencil so that you can rub out any mistakes that you make or any changes that you need to make. Okay, once you've roughed in the shape of the hairstyle, any parts of the face where the hair would cover, you can go back in and you can rub those out as well. So anime or manga hair is usually broken up into clumps at the end, and for ending a point. So look at hairstyles of various different characters and get ideas of how the style of how you want the style of your character. So for mine, I am going to have slightly longer hair. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to think, well, I want the hair to sort of kind of part here. So she's going to have a little bit of a parting. And I'm going to start bringing the hair down over the face. And as I said, the hair, quite often, it is broken up into chunks. Okay, we're not going to go in and draw each individual strand of hair. We're going to avoid that. So it's going to come down on her face. So I want that bit down on here. Okay, and then I'm going to then start to draw in some of the clumps of hair around the edge. So you can give your character lots of wacky hairstyles. I think sometimes, often, this is the best bit. I love drawing the hair on anime characters because you can give your characters so much personality with their hair too, or hair color, that you might, if you want to add a bit of color to your drawing. She's actually got quite big hair. That's bigger hair than what I intended, so I'm going to just give her a little bit of a haircut. This is why she was looking so nervous. Okay. In actual fact, what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to change this. I'm going to put a little bit of a bun in there, so it looks like a hair's tied back. So you will see her ears, because I want to see the ears. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to trace over those clumps of hair, slightly darker. Add in a bit of the ear there. Just gonna... But as I say, you can use your tracing paper to choose your different hairstyles that you would like. And this anime character, she has her hair all tied back. That's the look I'm going for here. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to rub out all the bits where the hair covers. I'm using this this kind of detail eraser here, which are fairly easy to get hold of online. But they're really useful for drawing. If you're drawing anime eyes, these are really useful for taking out areas that you want to keep lighter, and then blending them out. So that's what I tend to use this for. Because I'm rubbing out some quite detailed areas here. I'm going to use it for this, and I'm just going to go in here and rub out all of the bits of the face that the hair is covering. So that'll be all like some of the eyebrow here. There we go. And again, don't worry too much if you're going to rub out the wrong lines. We can always just go back and put them in again. I'm just going to take out, I've got some of those construction lines there. There we go. This is looking really good. I'm really pleased with this. And then I'm just going to put those lines back in. I'm using a slightly darker pencil. This time I'm using a 2B to trace in some of these lines. And I might even use this 2B to add in a little bit of colour to the hair, a little bit of shade. There. Okay. So this video that I have done is just the basics of putting together a manga portrait. I want you to practice drawing different hairstyles, different eyes, different mouths, different characters, maybe look at different angles and create your own manga character. Okay, that is your task. I would recommend playing around drawing eyes and things like that. To look at different noses, and just have fun practicing and playing around. Okay, well, until next time, have fun, stay safe, and hopefully we will see each other again soon. And look out on the virtual hub for other activities that I might post on there for enrichment and uplift. Okay, take care now. Bye bye.